Welcome, and this is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green.
Okay, Ekabo, and welcome to today's show of the Traditional Herbal Health with host Coach Ianti, PhD. In opening the show, I would read Odu Seifa from the Odu, Otura Iwori. The essay reads, even in the adversity of famine, we must not drink hot soup hastily. For if we eat hot stew hastily, it will surely burn our mouth. Cast divination for Akinsuyi. They told him that the year of prosperity is coming and that he should not act thoughtlessly. He should sacrifice, and they gave the items, and of course, he listened and made the sacrifice. So I would now introduce you to the host of today's program, Coach Ianti, PhD.
Good afternoon to each and everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Traditional Herbal Discussion, where we promote the use of ethnobotanical plants for everyday's holistic health, and wellness. So I'm Coach Yancy, your smiling host. I'm streaming from St. Martin, the friendly island of the Caribbean. So it's a pleasure to meet with the audience every Sunday, and I've noticed that we have a growing audience and we have a lot more questions coming in. I really appreciate your questions. It would be nice if you would send them earlier than Sunday, so we could research what we have to research ahead of time. Nonetheless, today I would like us to speak about cardiovascular incident. Over the past month, weeks, and especially I would say over the past 2 years, many individuals have experienced CVI or CVD, cardiovascular incident or cardiovascular accident, disease. There are different titling according to where we live. And I would like to take 1 minute to pay homage to all those who have transitioned. Thank you. So this afternoon, we will review a few nutrition tips to improve one's recovery. At any given point of this discussion, I might actually be a bit emotional because it's really like, sometimes it's far from home and sometimes it's really close to home. So we lose people who are young and we lose people who are old. In some discussion over the week, I have happened to tell some friends that when I was younger, we used to only hear that old people, or what we could consider older people, would die from stroke, heart attack, or other cardiovascular incident. But nowadays, we hear people dying in their 30s, in their 40s, but even in their 20s. And this is a hard wake-up call for everybody. And I think it's about time we really understand, how can we handle our body in a way to make it um, a little more resistant, to those particular health incidents. So what's a cardiovascular incident? So generally, it's a general term that's used to refer to any incident that may cause damage to your heart muscle, but not only your heart muscle, also the interruption of one's blood flow. So very often we think about the heart attack, heart attack, heart attack, and we also say stroke. But very little people understand the difference between a stroke and between a heart attack. So we are going to discuss some of those details today. We're not going to be technical. I like to keep it very simple so that everybody can understand. And feel free to ask your questions if you have any. You would know how to reach either Baba or myself by sending messages, especially to Baba because I may not receive them right away until the end of the show. Okay. So technically, it is often associated to fatty deposit inside the arteries. So it is often also associated to blood clot because if there are deposits within your arteries, it means that if initially it is that wide and you have deposit in the artery, it's going to become narrower and narrower. And the narrower it is, then you have issues for your oxygen supplies, for your oxygen flow, for the blood circulation, for nutrition, for your energy, for your overall life force, and definitely it's going to cause damage to your organs and especially to your brain, your heart, your kidneys, and even your eyes. So CVD is a great cause of disability in the adult age, and it is said that it can be prevented by living a healthier lifestyle. So that's what we're going to technically speak about and see what do we have around us in the Caribbean to help us to improve, to live that healthier lifestyle. So first, there are two type of CVD. So we have the coronary, well, not two types, there are four types. So we have the coronary heart disease, which occur when the blood flow, when the flow to the as I said, I will be emotional. Last year, I lost a friend in February to, cardiovascular incident, and this week again. So Anya will be very emotional speaking about this afternoon, but it need to be addressed. So let's go nonetheless. So the first one, the coronary heart disease, is it occurs when the flow of the oxygen to it's blocked. So it's not reaching your heart, and therefore it causes the heart to strain. Whenever the heart strain, two incidents can happen: either a heart attack, so that means that the heart muscle is suddenly blocked, or heart failure. So it means that the heart is unable, it's functioning, but it's unable to pump the blood properly and to send it back to the various part of your body. So that's the difference between heart attack and heart failure. Okay, another one is a stroke, but we also experience mini stroke. So in the blood stroke, the blood supply to the brain is cut off, and this is going to cause brain damage and possible death. However, in the mini stroke, the flow is just temporarily disrupted. So therefore, like it's not completely stopped. You might get a significant drop in the amount of blood flowing to your brain, okay, and then it starts to function again normally. However, just a few seconds without the proper amount of blood circulating through your brain or your heart can really cause serious damage overall and permanent disability. So some people do recover, especially when it comes to the mini stroke, but for some patients that I have encountered, probably who experience maybe like paralysis in their hand, what happened when they do recover is that though they can use the hand, but they would explain that they would not get full sensation. Very often they would get the tingling to the tip of their fingers. This can happen to your leg as well, to your toes, where you would always feel, these prickles. You feel like pins going in because the circulation is not optimal. Okay, so main symptom of a stroke or a mini stroke, those are very important. And why they are very important is because we actually experience those symptoms almost in many situations that we face, like very like different health situation that we may have, we actually experience those same symptoms. However, When we take the time to really like list them and reflect about it, it helps us to actually recognize when someone is experiencing, or if you yourself you are experiencing a mini stroke or a stroke. What happened is that let's speak for example of those migraines, those heavy migraine, because it does happen in some cases of mini stroke. If you are accustomed of having a migraine all the time and you force yourself to function with the migraine all the time, if for example out of the blue you experience this numb feeling in your leg, but you keep going all the time, probably you take a pill, probably you don't take a pill, you walk around with the pain all the time, the day when finally your body can't manage it anymore, if it becomes a stroke, you mightn't pay attention to that particular feeling because this is something you live with every day. So therefore it's important to actually list them all so we could learn to actually synthesize and analyze that this is an emergency. And whenever you meet that emergency, you don't try to do anything for yourself. First thing you should do is call for help. And in calling for help, I mean, I don't live in Trinidad, so I do not know what's you guys' emergency number, but you call the paramedics right away, and you, as soon as possible, you don't try to get the people in your own vehicle and drive them to the hospital, because the longer they spend away from professional medical attention is the greater chances that they might experience paralysis or brain damage afterwards. Okay, so we use the word fast, okay, to actually memorize the symptoms. And FAST stands for face in the first letter F. So you may realize that the face might droop on one side, either side, but it mightn't be the whole face. It might just be the eye, it might be the mouth. And sometimes we're not too sure neither, because this person may have carried, a drooping face for quite a long time, or sometimes, especially in the Caribbean, we may have like this fatty face. So we can't really see whether the person, have a side drooping or not. So what you may do is ask the person to smile. If you realize that the person have a challenge to smile, only one side of the mouth is going up and the other side is not moving at all, then it's time maybe to analyze what's happening with the arms. So from F we go to A. So the person might not be able to lift both arms. So you would ask the person, or you try yourself to lift both arms and to keep them up. But if you are experiencing a stroke or a mini stroke, you will realize that your arm is weak, or maybe it is numb, so you cannot keep them up. Next letter is S. So S, we are going to associate that with speech. So speech becomes slurred or garbled. So the person mightn't be able to speak properly. They try to speak. They might even panic when they realize that they try to speak, but people don't understand what they say. Sometimes they don't even understand what they say. All right. And sometimes they cannot speak at all. And the last letter, time. When you realize that there's a problem with the face, problem with the arms, and a problem with the coordination of the speech, you don't waste any time. It is better to call for medical attention right away, and maybe they might evaluate that it was not a stroke than to, I'm speaking and I'm having a recollection of an emergency we had at the school in Anguilla some years ago. And when I saw a parent finally come to the school, all my teachers they were under shock. And I was heavily pregnant. So when another adult walked into the school, I was like, thank God, some help. And it was a father. So I thought he was going to really help me, shift the teacher who was down on the ground. And the man started to speak in tongue and pray and doing laying of hands out. A little again, it's like at that moment I was going to just lose my composure. I was like, can you please hold the phone? It's like, wait, teacher Ingrid, let me pray. Listen, you know that in this show we love God. We have a reverence for God. In those times, it's not no time to pray. Call for help. You will pray afterwards. Okay? And
You would
Olodumare
pray,
will understand.
you would pray and thank Oludumare for sending help.
I'm telling you, but like there's a time for everything, and at that time, it is not time to pray. It is time to call for help. Okay, hold on 1 minute. I'm sorry, it is also the school vacation. So all the children are home along with their friends. I apologize for the noise in the background. Okay, so we are going to also touch about the peripheral arterial disease. And this one is really the blockage in the arteries to the limb. So usually this one is going to occur to the leg. So this can cause dull or cramping in the leg. And it is made worse by walking, but we realize that when you rest and you raise your leg, then you feel better. This one is very important to think about. Because I don't know for men, but I know that this happens to women a lot, especially at the time when they have the period. Now, the problem is when it happens regularly, such as a menstrual cycle, we take it for granted. We take it for granted and we're like, oh man, every month it will pass. And this is how you realize that someone maybe might be in their 30s, in their 20s, simply just drop dead in front of you. And we don't understand, but it definitely leaves us in some serious post-traumatic stress disorder afterwards. So any numbness or weakness in your leg is something to really be concerned about. Now, another word to the women. We were created with hair on our legs. And yes, I do agree that according to the clothes we wear, it is a whole lot more appealing and more aesthetics to shave or wax the legs. However, we were given those here on the leg for a reason. So we should consider not to get rid of them as often as some of us do. Reason why is if there is a circulation problem in your legs, you are going to notice that the hair on your legs is not growing anymore. However, if you wax your legs and shave your legs all the time, you can notice that your leg is no longer hairy, that that there's not enough vitality in your leg to grow hair. So this is something to pay attention. I mean that men really would pay attention to this more than women because they usually, not all the time, keep the hair on their leg. And well, I'm saying usually because nowadays a lot of men do wax as well. So I'm saying usually. The herotic aneurysm. So this one is the aorta is the largest blood vessel in the body, and it carry the blood to distribute. They carry the blood between technically the heart and the rest of the body. So whenever it becomes weak, um, sometimes it bulges forward, sometimes, but there will be no other symptoms. However, because there are no other symptoms, it could burst at any given time. And, like this could definitely cause some life-threatening bleeding. Okay, the causes now. Okay, it's one thing to know about those symptoms, what to pay attention to, but we got to also focus on the causes. So if we know the causes, now we could try to improve our lifestyle. And it's not always so easy when we are comforted in our ways. So it is said that the most important factor of cardiovascular disease is high blood pressure because it will damage the blood vessels. Now, the amount of people with high blood pressure, it is scary. Sometimes you have no other disease, nothing else, but you have high blood pressure. Now, high blood pressure, we develop that sometimes because we are too heavy. We develop it a lot because of DNA. So if our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents are high blood pressure, we are likely also to develop high blood pressure. Sometimes stress, lack of sleep, etc., could cause us temporary high blood pressure. The way we eat, also would put pressure on the body. It's like your body sometimes can't even digest what's in there, but you keep putting in more just because I don't know, it's a celebration, you're accustomed. Maybe you're eating because it makes you feel good. And it's not just the eating, drinking. In the Caribbean in particular, we like to drink. I'm saying we, but I'm not part of it. I don't like to drink. As a matter of fact, a 4% drink will send me and sleep and have a good night's sleep, just 4%. But everybody is not like me. Some people would drink some heavy liquor on a daily basis. And you have to understand that Whenever your body is soaked into liquor, it's not functioning properly for a couple of days. Even if you can think again, even if you can walk straight, even if you can drive, it takes a long time for the body to get rid of all the alcohol in every cell of your body. So if on top of it you're not eating well, if on top of it you're not exercising, etc., you're really putting your body at risk. Smoking is often mentioned as well, and it's not just smoking tobaccos. People who smoke other stuff than tobaccos will tell you, no, it's the cigarette that is not good, it is the nicotine, etc. It's not the cigarette versus the weed or versus the cigar or whatever else you choose to smoke, is the act of smoking. Because whenever we are smoking, people would ingest all the smoke inside of their lung, and therefore it is diffused in many cells in the body, not just the lungs. So you have those tiny particles of ashes that are depositing inside the body. And what is going to happen, because this is not something you can digest, it is going to clog the arteries, clog the different cells, narrow the blood vessels over time. So therefore you are jeopardizing your body by smoking too much. All right, so I really would not be in a good place to tell people not to smoke at all, but definitely this should be part of recreational use once now and again, but not on a daily basis. Okay. High cholesterol. Okay, the what happened when we eat a lot of heavy or fatty food? All the fatty substance remain in the blood. It remain all around our cells, and it will harden the arteries. And we have said it over and over now this afternoon. Whenever the artery become hard, it's also going to narrow the space within, and therefore there'll be less space for your blood circulation. Less space for your blood circulation also means that there's more pressure in the blood flow, and therefore it's going to also tamper with your blood pressure. Diabetes is also very often addressed as a cause of cardiovascular disease, also because having too much sugar in your blood is going to thicken your blood and narrow the blood vessel over time. And then the one we don't like to speak about is inactivity. We were created with four limbs. If you look at any other God's creation on earth with four limbs, what do? They move. They always move. They jump. They stretch. They climb. I love cats. Cats love to stretch and sleep. But we cannot live our life being inactive and just sit. So over the past, I don't know how many years, but I know for a fact that when I was a younger person, much, much younger person, we used to be told that we should definitely choose career we would sit in a desk in an air-conditioned office so you don't have to go and sweat under the sun. Now, what happens when you sit behind a computer all day? You do not have, your body is lacking these cellular exchange with the sun and the wind, etc. You don't have the same amount of quality oxygen flowing through your body, but overall your muscles are not in use, only your brain. And over time, if only your brain is moving, what happens? You realize that when you go home you are as tired as if you move your body all day long. But because you did not move your body, it's also affecting your overall life force. So you become lethargic. Okay. And this is going to definitely cause you to stock more cholesterol, to develop high blood pressure, and to become overweight. Speaking about the weight among us Black people is a touchy, touchy topic. According to, I don't want to say Caribbean men because I've heard American men also say they don't like a skinny lady. They like a lady who's properly wrapped up, in flesh, etc. Too much of wrapping is not good. So we really have, wherever, the wrapping might be enough for, let me find a name, Suzanne. Okay, it might be too much for Karen. So the more you wait, the more you wait, the more you increase the risk of experiencing cardiovascular disease. So we're not going to talk about the weight in particular because we are all shaped differently. However, I would encourage you, I don't have one close by, to use the measuring tape that the seamstress and tailors are using and to measure your waist. Your waist should be somewhere between 37 to 50 inches for a man. And if you are within the 37 to 50 inches, you don't have to be too worried. However, we would definitely encourage you to build on muscles or versus just being fat. Okay. And for women, we consider 32 to 45 inches. Now, anytime you are above this, you have to try your best to become more active. We're not even talking about dieting. Just be more active. Get up and walk a little more often. Park a little further so that you could walk a little longer. Dance. Put some music and dance. Why not? Okay. And just be more active. Be creative. As long as you're sweating, you're being active. So if you're an adult, a mature adult, you would understand that you have many ways of sweating and keep your body in movement every day. So we spoke also about having a family history of cardiovascular disease. So whenever you are aware of it, then you should definitely check your blood pressure regularly and your cholesterol level regularly as well. And now what's not so cool is that it is said that according to the ethnic background, we would be more prone as Black people to develop cardiovascular disease. I have not invested much time to research whether this is due to the history of the Black people, but we could go back into this topic in some other episode. So now we're gonna speak about different ways to prevent those incidents from occurring in our life, or how can we boost our recovery. So the first one I'm going to think about is to either reduce drastically or stop smoking. So if you already had the stroke, you may want to stop smoking altogether for quite a long time. And if you're talking about if you realize that you might be at risk, then in that case, you would want to reduce. If you're smoking every day, smoke once a week, you know. Just choose, I've seen some cigarette, 20 US a piece, I was shocked, but now. And there's more, you could even spend more than that for a cigarette. So instead of spending $20 on a box of cigarette every day or for the week, maybe just spend the same $20, buy one cigarette and smoke it at the end of the week. So this way you would smoke less. We're gonna encourage you to cut down on alcohol as well because it's put a lot of pressure on the body. I've heard someone tell me this week, yes, but Campari, and I'm sure the person is watching, is actually still good to drink, etc. Listen, when you know you've already exposed your health to this kind of incident, if you want to play and say, but this one is still good, it's gonna take you longer to heal. But at the end of the day, it is your choice. It's what you want. It's how long do you want to live and whether you want to improve your quality of life. Okay, so if you have already experienced a stroke, definitely we encourage you to cut down on alcohol. You have to exercise regularly. So don't wait until something happens to start exercising. It is true that if your waist or if your stomach is too high, it might be difficult for you to bend down and touch your toes. It's fine. There are many people who show you how to exercise from your couch, exercise sitting on a chair. But the most important, just get up and go take a walk. That's all. Just walk. You'll realize that every week you are able to walk a little more. Okay? Um, if you have already experienced a stroke, usually you might be challenged to exercise. So therefore, we recommend to have many sessions of physiotherapy. So you go, like here we call it a kinesiotherapist. Other places we say physiotherapist. And you can also go to a tradi therapist so that you could have a lot of holistic massage therapy using a lot of herbs or powder like herbal powder. And all of this is aimed at improving your blood circulation and your locomotion. So that's to help you to move your body better and to have better control, have more sensation in your body. And also for those who experience dizziness, vertigo, and difficulty to stand, you know, those type of therapy are going to also help a great deal. And then the last, of course, is to improve your diet. So you understand that in all what we have spoken about this afternoon so far, the vitality of your body is definitely targeted whenever you experience this type of incident. We spoke about muscular paralysis on one side of the body, difficulty walking. But for some people, it might be blurry vision or temporary loss of vision in one eye. For some people, it might be difficulty speaking, or it might be also a numbness or weakness of the limb. You may have a reduced sensation of touch. We spoke about muscle weakness and numbness in the face, but also uh, we have chronic fatigue. Your overall body is tired. You experience lightheadedness, vertigo, headache, mental confusion, often the inability to understand. You know, people panic very often because, you know, the brain does not function the same way as prior to the incident. So for this, we have to consider that the fuel we put in our body is very, very, very important. The body is the vehicle that we use while we are alive on Earth. And I like to compare the body to a vehicle very often. There are some people who take care of the vehicle better than they take care of themselves or their family members. Your body is
True.
the vehicle that you use while you are alive on Earth. If you do not take care of it, just like a car, a truck, a bike, if you do not take care of it, it's not going to last you long, or it's going to give you problem when you least expect it. So the first thing is consider what you're going to put in your blood, because if you have no blood, you have no life. So we encourage you, to really respect your body. First thing is consider anything you're gonna put on your skin. Try to have everything as natural as possible, and your energetic bodies. So the energetic body is what I call the different energy centers of the body. Some people call it chakras. So make sure that everything is in balance, because whenever your energy centers are not in balance, you don't have proper life force circulating through your body, meaning you'll be tired all the time. Okay, you'll feel depleted. The only way you'll feel okay, you'll need a boost all the time. And those boosts may be different things. For some people, the vitamin might be enough. Some others, the coffee is a must. I'm guilty of the coffee. I'm not, and for me, the coffee, it's not, I always speak about that coffee story. The coffee for me, it's not even just like for the boost. It's just like I've developed such a taste for coffee that it's hard, to cut it down. But whenever you use those kind of stimulant, the problem is that you are not able to assess how well um, you're not able to assess the level of your life force when you're about to move for the day. So if you start the morning with a strong coffee or a booster, some people take boosters. A couple years ago, when my twins were still small, I would take a booster Monday, Tuesday. I wouldn't take none on Wednesday. When I would drop them to school in the morning, I would hit the beach and go sleep for 3 hours on the beach, wake up, go and get them, and keep going again. I would take a booster pill on a Thursday. I would take a booster pill on a Friday. So I would be, listen, working well the whole week, smiling. And when you see Saturday, you couldn't get out of the bed, sleep straight Saturday and Sunday, because all the fatigue accumulated over the days would fall down on me those days when I would not take the pill. It took me a long time to stop using it, because even when I wanted to take my children to a basic event, if I didn't have the pill, I couldn't go.
Oh, so you developed a dependency.
I cannot hear you so well. I became addicted.
Yeah,
Without that pill, I could not. That to be the super mom I needed to be, I needed to have that pill.
yeah. I said you developed a dependency.
Exactly. So when we use those kind of boosters, we cannot assess, really how well the body is. All right. I'm speaking about the pill, but I'm thinking about one of the students I lecture every week. Well, I lecture him once a month, and his work is pretty demanding physically. So whenever you arrive with Monster. What do you call those drinks? Monster
Yeah,
something.
Monster drink. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Monster is
So
the name of the drink.
all right. So he arrived with one Monster can in the morning. When they have a break, he drinks Monster. Lunchtime, he have another Monster. The break in the afternoon, he have another Monster. So throughout the day, he have at least four or five. Okay. The question, but thank God, that the job he does really like gets him busy, moving all the time. But anytime he stop that job, he might still be dependent on having those drinks, energy drinks, all the time, and then it might be a different impact on his health overall. And it's only when you stop to realize that wow, my body cannot move on its own. And whenever this happens, you realize that you have to go through a whole regeneration of your body, and to get yourself back into balance. But I also want to assess the mental and emotional body. Over the past years, I realized that people actually speak about mental health a whole lot more. Back in the days, 20 years ago, we would say that mental health, if you speak about mental health, it means that you're crazy. So to be black already and to be crazy, nobody didn't want to be black and crazy anywhere. Or women, like we have been targeted to be, especially in the Caribbean, potomitan. I hate people to tell me potomitan woman. Like I can't stand this. I'm a woman, period. I don't have to be no potomitan where like everything, I should be able to just take the whole world on my shoulder. Nobody asks you to put the whole world on your shoulder. When you need a break, you need a break. If you need to service your vehicle, you need to service your body as well. Take time to rest and to take care of your body. Men sometimes have that problem as well because they don't want to show that they need help. They don't want to show their weaknesses. So they would carry an imbalance for a very long time. When they finally start speaking, it's already bad because usually they've been moving around with that imbalance, that pain in the body for a very long time before they actually address it. And to get them to commit to take a medication or a long time treatment is a different story because for many it is also they feel like it is a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness to take care of your body. Taking care
But
of your body is a must.
Doc, I have a question.
Sure.
Given all that is going on right now with the lockdowns around the world,
Yes.
isn't mental health currently more of an issue?
People tend to speak about it more. And definitely, the fact that very often we are not breathing, we are not breathing as much as we need because people sometimes have to work the whole day with a mask over their faces, speak, with the mask on their face. So it means like they are reusing air that's already congested, polluted. Okay. And I mean, like the lockdown had many of us just home, can't come out. It created a lot of issues, sometimes in situation of domestic abuse. It created a lot of resentment and violence because it felt as if we were caged, as if our freedom was taken away from us. Many places I saw everywhere people were fighting for even toilet paper. Can life get any worse than that? People fighting for toilet paper. I mean, I've seen people fight for water post hurricane, but no. I mean, I didn't have to fight for toilet paper, but when I brought the toilet paper home, I had to find creative way of hiding it for my children not to find it. And I was like, imagine you got a hide toilet paper. It's, all of these create stress, and anxiety as well. And so this is also an energy flowing in your body, processed in your veins, processed in your blood, and all of that also affect the quality of the blood that is going to your brain and to your heart. So it is very important to address the fact sometimes that we have loved ones who are dying, and we have to try to just move on as if nothing happened. All of that has really affected people emotionally over the past 2 years. So now, when you know that you are at risk, you have to make the adequate choices about what you choose to put into your body. And I'm going to leave it to that because, it's already 43 minutes into the show and we don't want to start another debate. But pay attention to what I say. When you know you are at risk, you have to really um, pay attention to what you put in your body and try to use stuff that are natural as possible and avoid anything that is synthetic, okay, whenever possible, because it is affecting the quality of your fuel, and your fuel is your life force. Okay, so I would like to finish by mentioning a few herbs that are close to home that we can use to help ourselves to improve our physical stamina, our mental energy, to reduce stress, and also to increase cellular oxygenation. Um, all of us know about elderberry. During lockdown, it has become so difficult to find elderberry. Elderberry syrup capsule, everything just went skyrocket high. Elderberry is a great tonic to have. So I'm not going to tell you whether you should drink it as tea in capsule. Whatever form is best for you. Elderberry tonic is definitely a great one to have. The yellow duck tonic as well is great, especially that it contains a lot of iron, and the iron is one of the number one nutrient that you need in your body to build strong cells. No iron in the body, you'll be weak all the time. No matter what you take, you'll be weak all the time. Okay. The valerian root as well is recommended, and I would like to take the time to say that you may find those three herbs in one of Dr. Sebi's formula that is actually named Banju. Okay, and according to who prepares it for you, it may be as affordable as 20 US, but usually regular prices might go around 50 US and above when you have it properly blend in the right dosage. Okay, because you will pay attention that I never give any dosage because we are discussing for educational purposes, but we are not here to tell you that you should abstain from taking a particular treatment to replace it with what we recommend here on this show. Let's speak about ajuga. That's also bugleweed. Bugleweed also is part of that same formula, benju, and this one is it's in that formula to help to speed the healing and to improve the overall health and to fight free radicals. Now, before we get into those, definitely, if your house is dirty, you have to clean it. The detox, that's the part nobody likes to hear about. You have to clean the body first before you put in those other um, element in your body. So because I spoke about Dr. Sebi formula, burdock is one that he always recommend to clean the blood. But burdock is not the only thing to clean the blood. We have spoken in this particular show about using chardonnay as well as bois okay, and there are many others. The bitter herbs definitely will do the trick to clean your blood. Okay. The shadow benny, I think you guys have that too in Trinidad, right? Fitweed.
Yes, we do. We call it bandania. We call it shadow benny. We call it several names, but yes, we have it.
In Haiti, they call it coolant.
Okay.
I like to know the Haitian words as well, because Haitian brothers and sisters are all over the world. So whatever you can find in a Caribbean shop, you might find it in a Haitian shop definitely. This one there, you take it, is not a tea. This one is a decoction. So it means that it need to be really strong when your body is totally run down and probably you experiencing chest pain, palpitation. Okay, this is a great one to have as a decoction. To knock at the door of our, Indo-Caribbean family, the ashwagandha is definitely used to manage fatigue and also to relieve stress, okay, as well as CBD. And when I say CBD, you guys didn't hear me say ganja, right? I said CBD, meaning that the amount of THC in it need to be managed and it need to be low, okay? And we also said that smoking actually aggravate the situation. So definitely, if you would choose to use the plant, it is definitely not to smoke it to reduce your condition. And flor de manita, the hand flower, this little red flower with 5 fingers. Okay, this one also is recommended by Dr. Sebi, although to bring down the blood pressure, but also in Jamaica, people cut the Christophine fruit. Um,
Okay. I know the Christophine, but I'm not sure of the plant you're speaking of. You have a Latin name for the plant?
I don't have a Latin name, but it's also called monkey hand or devil hand.
Okay.
Actually, the cutest name for it is Flor de Manita. I mean, I can send you a picture of it while we are discussing. And with the picture, I'm sure you'll find the Latin name. Yeah, I just did. Okay, so the Christophine, in Jamaica, it is cut in pieces, a raw Christophine, and you just infuse it in water and you drink the Christophine water very often. Other part of the Caribbean, we use a lot of garlic to bring down the blood pressure, and that's to reduce the inflammation. So technically, to help your arteries to get rid of all the buildup within. Chaparral Tonic is also one recommended by Dr. Sebi as a blood purifier, but also a great tonic to people who are suffering from cancer or arthritis, different kind of pain. But we should not forget about the bladder. That is common in capsule, the bladder, also in syrup, as well as drinking sea moss as much as possible, as a great regenerative to the body. So this is the end of what I wanted to say. I don't know if you'd like to add anything else, Baba. All I want to say me is that it's definitely a time where we have to make some changes. It's time to really like make sacrifice. Uh, yes, we are under a lot of stress, because we got to get organized in different ways. Everywhere prices are rising except for the income. And so therefore we have to really organize how we spend and how we still cover all of our expenses. And some people, it's not much about the expenses. They just like to see the money just grow every month on their account. However, when the expenses keep becoming more and more expensive, the amount we are able to save is fewer and fewer every month. It is causing a lot of stress and depression on people. And the best is to speak. You don't have to pretend to be okay. If you're not feeling well in your body, you don't have to pretend to be okay neither. That is whether you chose to partake into some experiment, whether you chose to try some treatment or not. When you're not feeling good, speak, because someone might be able to help you, whether it is to give you a recommendation, but someone might be able to call help,
Well,
and yeah, that for me, that's the word of the end. Always make sure, talk, speak, express yourself whenever you feel like you can't make it on your own.
yeah, I think Under the prevailing circumstances,
Mhm.
with the lockdown, with a lot of people unemployed,
Yeah,
um, the first thing most people would need to do is to engage in some level of what we refer to as stress management.
sure.
Um, as long as we are not under a continuous curfew, I think people need to get out into nature and
Yeah.
engage in a lot more activities on the outdoor,
Yes.
with their children, and with their entire family.
Let me stress
Um,
on the outdoor, Baba. Outdoor, not indoor. Because
yes,
many people take it indoor all the time, make a lot of children, and then complain for more stress. Go outdoor, outdoor.
yeah,
Enjoy the breeze and the nature
yes,
around you. Mhm.
definitely we should. I'm not, advocating that people should meet in crowds with other people in order
Yeah.
to pick up
Mhm.
any contagious diseases. But what
Sure.
I do recommend is that people try to get fresh air and sunlight. That's the
Definitely.
first thing. The second thing is for people who may not be in a living space with others, for persons who are on their own, no families, etc., etc.
Mhm.
I would recommend that people like that try to spend some time communicating in person with other persons, whether it's an elder, an older person in the community who have no
Mhm.
one. You go, you do the grocery shopping for them, you drop stuff off, you find out how they're doing, you try to assist in whatever way that you can,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Those two things are primarily, I think, the most important part of what could be done. There's another recommendation. A lot of people are not working, as a result of which they cannot afford many things.
Sure.
One of the things that could be done at home to supplement um, your food is by doing a home garden. It would get you out in the sun, it would get you a little exercise, it would have you taking fresh air,
Exciting
depending on where
also.
you live,
Yes.
right? It's going to give you a wider variety of food to prepare,
Mhm.
and it's also going to save you a couple of dollars.
Sure.
So that is the third recommendation. Now, this recommendation that I'm about to give directly impacts the discussion that we're having today. And this has to do with making healthy choices of food products that you may prepare.
Mhm.
Now, one of the problems we have is people love meat. They love to consume meat on a daily basis. We all guilty of it here, so don't feel bad about it, and nobody should feel bad about it. It's the way we eat in the Caribbean. Now that is something that has to be addressed because most forms of meat or protein that we take in are generally accompanied with fat,
Yeah.
and generally not the healthy ones.
Mhm.
So what has to be considered is, in order to reduce your intake of unhealthy fats, one may have to consider not consuming large quantities of meat.
Sure.
That's one. The second thing that one should also consider is not always frying your food, because you're introducing now another form of unhealthy fat.
Sure.
So you're starting off with the meat that contains fat, and
Mhm.
then now you're preparing that meat in oils.
Mhm.
So these are some of the considerations. Maybe not every single day you eat meat. And if you have to eat it, maybe you choose what is lean. Are you able to hear me, Iya?
Not so well.
All right. Are you hearing me better now?
Much better, yes.
All
Mhm.
right, yes. So I'm saying now we have to look at not using meat every day. We have to consider not frying a lot of our food. We
Mhm.
have to consider not putting a lot of grease and butters in preparing our meals.
Sure.
Now, these things would definitely impact on persons who have had episodes of whether it is of stroke, heart problems, or high blood pressure. Because all of these conditions are affected by the level of fat that we have in our system and that we intake on a regular basis. Another contributor to this problem is milk and all of the products that comes from milk that are associated to it. We have to consider not consuming too much of these products, as well as we have to look at alternate or alternatives. All right? So these are just the recommendations that I have, that I could think of offhand, that people need to look at. Now, here you mentioned a series of herbs, right? What I want to say is that most of the herbs that you have mentioned contains a great amount of iron. All right? But these herbs are a vegetable source of iron, which is a lot more ready for human consumption. I want to use the term ready. In other words, your body is able to use vegetable iron coming from vegetable sources a lot more readily than from any other source. All right. Now, also the role of iron among all the other minerals is iron tend to cause a lot of the other minerals to bind in your blood. So even if you're eating a totally balanced meal with the exception of iron, then unfortunately, a lot of the molecules of the other minerals would not bind and would not stay in your blood. So therefore, having iron is a very, very important element in building healthy blood and blood cells. All right, and that is basically, all the tips that I could add to what you've said. Because more or less, I think you've mentioned all of these things during the course of what you were discussing earlier. You mentioned exercise. It's it's an essential, particularly for persons who have had episodes of the conditions mentioned. And that's my contribution here.
Okay, Baba. Well, next week, I'll give you confirmation by tomorrow. Well, it's supposed to have a speaker, and that's a surprise speaker who is going to give us his little insight about our theme. Remember, we're talking about the way we eat, and because you want to eat to live, and to live a better life, and to live a longer life as well. So we're gonna have a special guest, to share a little bit of his insight and his knowledge.
All right. Well, with that, we would like to say
Odabo,
Udabo. And folks, remember to like, to share,
and
as well
subscribe.
as subscribe. See you next week, Sunday, on our next edition of Traditional Herbal Health.